Hi all, welcome back. My name is Dan and welcome to this second edition of morning mobility practice. I still kind of struggle to find the proper naming for these sessions, but let's just call it a gentle introduction into the day. But you can use it also in the afternoon, you can use it in the evening to cool down, okay? So as always, we're gonna start with some stillness, just to perform a mini body scan to how we feel using certain anchors like breath, feet, and so on. And then we're gradually going to start with some simple gentle movements, which towards the end of the session, second half of the session, are going to be increased in complexity. And depending on how you feel on each particular session, you can either increase the intensity or you can keep it easy. So remember, always work considering your body and considering how much energy you have. Okay, if you want to push yourself hard. If you want to take it easy, take yourself easy. Okay, so we're going to start as always. So feet comfortably apart, ideally barefoot, arms soft and relaxed. Before you close your eyes, just give yourself a few moments just to kind of be aware of the space, be aware of the room you're in, your position in the room. And then just softly, gently close your eyes. Bringing the awareness into your body. Notice how you feel. How is your energy level? Notice any potential pain or discomfort that you currently have. And let's start perhaps with two anchors as usual. First one being our breath. Just simply notice your breath without changing anything too much straight away. Notice where is it coming from. Notice the qualities of your breath. Is it shallow? Is it deep? Is it fast? Is it slow? Notice how breath affects some other structures, like your touch, movement, gentle movement of your limbs. Motion of your belly and your chest. Come back to the second anchor, which is going to be your feet and that sensation of groundedness between the floor and your feet. So try to notice if you can sense the texture of the floor. Can you perhaps be aware of the even temperature of the floor? Any unevenness, texture of the mat, tension in your feet. Notice only tiny refinements of the small foot muscles. Although there is perception of us being still, There's always that fine refinement. Some would say we're always falling. We're just very proficient in how we prevent ourselves from falling. And lastly, just try to find the optimal level of energy without changing anything and adjusting too much in regards to your posture. Just micro adjustments, for example, maybe softening your knees even more, maybe relaxing your belly slightly more, releasing your arms. So finding the optimal and efficient, energy efficient posture while staying upright and not losing balance. And then in your own time, I'm going to do 3 times deep long inhalation in through your nose. And let it go. Again. One last time. Allow your eyes slowly to open. Welcome back into the room. Perhaps just give yourself a few moments to look around the space. Allowing your eyes to sort of readjust back to the environment. And notice all the tiny details in the space. And notice where your eyes and your gaze is sort of heading towards. What is inviting, what is not so inviting. Try to notice, try to focus on the smallest detail you can, and really try to use your eye muscles really to refine that detail as much as you can. Even if you fail, just try. And then bringing your head back in the middle, allowing your eyes to settle. Beautiful. Wow. So we're going to start this session with spinal waves. Ideally, we're going to start with the head leading. So I'm going to show you first variation freestanding. If you struggle, I'm going to also show you regression using the wall. So idea here is to keep in your posture relaxed, hands on your thighs. I'm starting with my head, chin goes down and then forward. Notice how I'm drawing a circle with my neck and then creating that impulse and ripple effect that travels down towards the spine, all the way through my legs into the floor. You can start very small, very soft. Try not to include your arms too much. Just focus on your spine. So notice how that ripple effect goes from your head, that goes forward. As your head goes back, your chest goes forward. As your chest goes back, your belly, your hips, your knees go forward. And then reversing. Rather than making it 2 or 3 or 4 motions, you want to make it 1 smooth, continuous motion. So if you're comfortable with this, keep going. If you really struggle, you can start with the wall, close to the wall, and then using the wall as a feedback. So make sure you're standing close enough. Chin, chest, belly, hips, knees. Chin, chest, belly, hips, knees. And keep going. It's a great way to develop that feedback, tactile feedback and awareness. I'm going to spend some time here, so take your time. Notice your breath. You can close your eyes if you wish. You can keep your eyes open, whichever variation you prefer. It's good to play with both. Just your breath. How does it affect your breath? Are you creating any tension? Or are you keeping it fairly relaxed? I would recommend or give a tip, just try to keep it as easy as you can. If you're getting more confident and proficient with this, you can play with tempo. Couple of fast ones, couple of really slow motion ones. Maybe playing with a degree of motion, range of motion, very small, subtle one. And then maybe very large ones. Keep going. Notice that segmentation that travels. It's perfectly fine when you're starting to do this. It feels a bit robotic and it looks robotic. The more you do it, shocking, I know, the more refined it gets, as with everything. Let's do last few reps. Beautiful. Now you're going to do the same thing, but we're going to reverse. We're going to start with our hips. So some people find this maybe easier, some people find it a little bit harder. Usually I found people find this a bit easier when I teach it. So driving your knees forward, then your hips, then your chest, then your head comes back. The last one. Keeping your arms again relaxed. Try not to elevate your arms, not shrugging. So you should be doing the motion only from your spine. So knees, hips, belly, chest, head. And make sure you're not sort of violently throwing your head at the end. Keep it very soft, like a whip. Again, keep going. If you struggle, use the wall. Use the wall as a feedback. Spend some time there. If it feels okay, move further. Keep going, everyone else. And again, notice the qualities, notice the differences, notice where you tend to rush. Perhaps for this particular wave, think about, can you keep the same momentum, same speed throughout? Or are there any areas, any limitations where you just suddenly tend to rush? Just perfectly normal to have. Arching, rounding, arching, rounding. Even if you have a little bit of pain somewhere in your back, which is a really complex topic on its own, but I would strongly encourage you to just try with gentle motion, just to play with this, no matter how small range of motion or big range of motion. Let's do a few more of these. Last one, beautiful, fade out. And the last one in this part, maybe feet slightly wider so you have stable base of support. Think about Chinese dragon, which we kind of covered on the last session in the intro, in a slightly different intention. So now you want to go sideways. Think about this. Your head moves in one direction. I want to keep my knees soft. As your head is in this last possible end range, keeping my feet on the floor, I'm starting to go back as my chest and my rib cage travels in the same direction, and then simply repeating what the head did, keeping my arms relaxed. So head on the side and head goes back, shoulder, rib cage, hips are following, and then reversing. So it's one smooth motion, almost snake-like. What I would encourage you not to rotate too much with your chest forwards and backwards, which is perfectly fine, but not something that we're looking for. And again, keep going. If you struggle with this one, use the wall. You can even use your nose as a reference point. Notice how I'm also allowing my knees to bend in order to go a bit further. Keep going. Keeping your feet grounded. And again, you can start playing, if you're comfortable with this, with the speed, tempo, range. So how small can you make it? How big, how far can you go as well? Head leads. Let's do 5 more. 2. 4. And the last one. Beautiful. Fade out. Come to a stop. Give yourself a few moments. Feet maybe slightly tiny bit wider. Soften your knees. Arms relaxed. Make sure you have a little bit of space around. I'm gonna start turning behind you, keeping your feet grounded. And notice as I'm starting to turn slightly faster and faster, if my arms are completely relaxed, this is gonna happen. So my arms are simply gonna start following, creating this almost moment of suspension in the air. Making sure I have space to move. So my head, my chest initiates the motion. My arms are simply going to follow. So there should be absolutely no tension in my arms, in my shoulders. Completely empty. As you do this, notice the twist in your lower back. A little bit of more rotation compared to the previous spinal waves. Feeling of connection between the feet and the floor. Connection between the feet and your pelvis. Pelvis and your torso. And completely loose and relaxed arms. Beautiful. And slowly, gradually fade out. Don't just suddenly come to a stop. Gradually. See how slowly can you start slowing down and come to a stop. Beautiful. Next one. So you're going to go in sort of mini lunge facing towards the left side. So there's going to be 2 patterns. One with your legs, as I'm sort of going in this mini lunge, and then leaning back. So going from hip flexion into hip extension. You're gonna load your ankle. If this is too heavy, you can lift your heel. Just be mindful of balance. So that's the step number 1. You decide how low you wanna go. This is fine, just gentle rocking motion. So I'm gonna prioritize my hips rather than my lower back. What my arms are gonna do, so think about this one continuous sweeping motion. Make sure you have space. So I'm sweeping down, reaching back, you can make it slow and continuous. Try not to have too much tension in your arms. So let's give it a go. First one side, connected to your breath. Arms light. So if you can see, it's one continuous motion rather than 2 or 3 separate movements. We're seeking for connection. Two more. Beautiful. You're gonna change sides. Same thing other side. Maybe get the pattern first with your legs. Okay, maybe you're gonna have to experiment with the distance, not too close, not too far. Prepare, introduce your arms, let's go. If at any point you notice it's starting to beat too much, notice that moment where you're sort of pushing a little bit too much, too far. So your breath starts speeding up, tensing a bit too much. Try to slow down, find a little bit more relaxation and ease, maybe even grace in the motion. Relax your neck if you can. Two more. And the last one. Beautiful. Allow yourself a few moments. Then you're gonna shuffle your feet further apart. You don't need to go in side splits, even if you have them. Soften your knees, hands on your lower back. We're gonna go into chest circles. What I would strongly encourage you here also to use your eyes. So as I'm starting to go as far as I can, and in order to go further, I can bend my knees. I'm gonna use my eyes to draw a circle with my eyes as well. So if you make yourself a little bit dizzy, that's perfectly fine, because this is what we want to do. We also want to train our vestibular system a little bit. So stick to direction, one direction for now. And let's go. So personally, I feel this one more in my hamstrings, the adductors, hips. If you round your back a little bit, that's perfectly fine. So use your eyes to draw the circle, not focusing on anything. Two more. Beautiful. And change direction. And again, although for some of you this might already feel a lot, try to have intention of trying to find comfort and ease in motion, smoothness and quality, rather than just rushing and doing reps. How connected does anything feel? And that can almost be like our topic for today, seeking that connection within a sequence. I'm gonna do two more. And come to beautiful work. So shuffle your feet closer together. We're gonna spend too much time here. We're gonna roll our spine gently. First in forward fold, then lowering into squat. So forward fold, so tuck your chin to the chest, think about spinal wave. Rolling your spine down, soften your knees. Hands either relaxed or relaxed and on your elbows. You spend a few moments here noticing the effect of gravity on your neck, your shoulders, your upper back, lower back, your hamstrings, your calves, your feet. Notice the heart rate. Notice the temperature of your skin. Notice the sweat. And then from there, just allow yourself to go all the way down into deep squat, or as deep squat as you can go. And again, if you struggle here, as you're going to spend a few moments here, you can place something underneath your heels, or if you need to lift your heels off the floor a little bit, that's fine. Spending a few moments, weight shifting from side to side. Beautiful. And now next few motions might be a little bit more challenging for some of you. The main intention here is to try. So rather than trying once and then just giving up, try a couple of times, see if you fail, see why do you fail, what's the main reason, maybe lack of flexibility in certain areas and so on. Also try to have intention of keeping your breath relaxed. Left hand, right ankle, left shoulder pushing the inner part of my knee out, right arm reaching up, pausing for 3 seconds. Now right hand behind your head, right elbow as close as you can to the floor. Reach, and again, reach up with your right arm, 3 seconds hold, 2, 3, and again, hand behind your head, elbow to the floor. One more time. Reaching, opening your chest, rotating the spine. One last time, elbow to the floor, keeping your hips long. Beautiful. Same thing other side. Switch, open, 2, 3. Hand behind your head, left elbow to the floor. And again, open, elbow to the floor. And one more time, elbow to the floor. Beautiful. So next one. If you struggle with this one, just be free. I'm gonna also join you with placing a little bit more weight in my hands. What I wanna do here is, I'm gonna sort of do variation of Cossack squat, which is just side to side squat. Be free. I don't really care if you lift your heels off the floor. I would actually encourage you. The main intention here is to keep my hips low, helping myself with my hands as I go from side to side. And then, as I wish, I can maybe spend a few extra moments in one position, stretching, finding those awkward areas that need a little bit more TLC. Maybe I want to keep my chest upright. Maybe, if you're fairly comfortable with this, hands behind your lower back, transitioning low, playing with foot off the floor or on the floor. Both are good variations. Maybe as you go towards one side, going on the heel of the same leg, knees goes down. So I would encourage you to explore here. Spend a few moments exploring on your own. Waking up ankles, toes, hips for the day. Last one on each side, so 2 more. Beautiful. And now we're gonna go into one of our main positions, which is gonna be Seiza. So you're gonna spend some time here now. So for those of you who are struggling, maybe put a pillow on in between your calves and your hamstrings or your hips. Maybe you wanna tuck your toes. Actually, we're gonna do that first few times. So as you're sitting in this position, if this is already struggle, just place a bit of weight in your hands. Help yourself with your hands. So what we're gonna do now, untuck your toes, tuck your toes, sit back on your heels for a few seconds, reverse, lean back again, stretching the quads, stretching the front of the ankle. Few times, take your time. I always struggle with my left big toe with this one. I blame climbing. So leaning backwards, forwards. Notice where you tend to rush. Let's do one more time each. And come to a stop. Beautiful. I'm going to stay in this position right now. If you want to go in the cross leg position, you can. You're going to go up in this position, you can. I'm going to stay here. So first one, I'm just going to focus on the wrists a little bit, okay? So let's just shake our wrists, bringing some awareness into our hands. So first I'm shaking sideways, then up and down. Nice. Now I'm going to connect my fists together as I'm facing my hands. So what I want to do here is going to start opening each finger individually from one side to other side and closing from the other side, going back. So what I'm looking for here is the quality of sort of smoothness of motion, as we did earlier with lots of movements. So for now, stick to the same pattern, opening from one side, closing from the other side. So notice, really bring the awareness into your fingers and notice the quality of each finger opening and then closing. How smoothly can you do this? It can be especially tricky, and again, if you're climbing a lot, if you're typing a lot, if you're doing anything sort of with lots of hand finger flexion. And then start speeding up, still sticking to the same pattern. And now start playing up, closing, and then opening from the other side. Suddenly it might change everything again. Opening and closing. Notice which fingers are sort of suddenly get stuck somewhere. And now, as you get a bit more proficient with this pattern as well, start playing up. So opening one, oh that was so bad, opening, closing, other one, opening, closing. So create your own patterns with still having the same intention, which is finding the smoothness of motion. Gonna do a few more reps each hand. You can slow down at any point if it's a bit overwhelming. Notice your heart rate, notice how you breathe. And come to a stop. Beautiful. And we're gonna have one more sort of mini coordination for the wrists that I've learned on the recent intensive with Ferris Anime. Amazing collective, check them out. Ferris Anime Terra Nova. So this is the pattern. So you might want to go back to this one. It's a really good drill for the wrists and also drill for the cognitive, for the mind. So this is the basic pattern. Fingers in, fingers towards me, fingers in, fingers out. Fingers in, fingers towards me, fingers in, fingers out. Notice my forearms, they're more or less in the same position. I'm twisting my wrists, my hands in and out. In. Actually, they're always going in. One time going forward, back, forward, back. So get comfortable with this pattern, both hands simultaneously. Sort of make sure it's starting to be more automated. You're not thinking about it too much, finding smoothness, maybe a little bit of speed. As you get comfortable with this, you might already just want to stick with this one. If you want a bit more challenge, this is the pattern. So now each hand is gonna do opposite. It's still same the pattern, we're just doing other way around. Offset, maybe. I'm gonna slow down. It's still exactly the same pattern that we just did, but we're not doing it, we're doing it simultaneously, but they're going in opposite directions. So It's a good project, mini project to have. Notice when you start to learn this or try to learn these new skills, what's happening with the brain. And that's the main sort of thing here. What's happening in your brain? Are you getting suddenly just very frustrated? Or are you laughing at yourself, having fun? It's a great opportunity to learn. As you get older, you tend to stop learning new skills. And we really should. There's so much research and data in neuroscience proving that that's very, very useful long term. Longevity, if I dare to say. A few more. And relax your arms. So relaxing, so think about thumbs being up, shoulders relaxed, and just start pulsating with your thumbs in and out, which is gonna create this ripple effect in your arms. Creating almost the sound effect. Nice, beautiful, lovely. So the next one we're gonna go in downward dog. So fairly common, so hopefully our wrists are a bit more warm. So we're gonna not have too strict position in downward dog. I would again encourage you to explore here. So downward dog, so hips up, hands maybe on the mat, maybe slightly wider, feet wider, bending the knees, whatever your flexibility is. Just get used to this position, loading the wrist and your shoulders. And rather than staying strict here, start exploring. So let's say you have these 4 points of contact. So you can pivot on your feet, you can lift your fingers, you can pivot on your hands, but keep them in the sort of same position. How far can you explore here? Maybe it's just going to be gentle exploration, bending and extending each knee, or you can start introducing a little bit of head motion, flexing the elbows, extending the elbows. So remember, our only limitations are these 4 points of contact. Everything else is allowed to move. Maybe you can go forward in extension. A little bit more challenging on the wrists and the shoulders, so be mindful of that. Maybe you can twist. Maybe you can round, maybe you can arch. Maybe you can do a spinal wave here. I'm kind of pushing myself right now, but you can make it much more subtle, much easier. Few more seconds. Waking up everything. And come to a stop. Beautiful. Lovely. So it's quite energizing. I don't know about you, but definitely felt really energizing. So as you're slowly getting to the, not just yet the end of the session, what I'm gonna do now, I need to move my notes. I might move my mat here, closer to the wall. You want to have some space, as you're going to do a little bit of, there's lots of these motions were kind of flexion dominant, so we're going to do a little bit more extension. So from this angle, I'm going to show you, so you want to go in this T position, lying on the floor. So making sure you have space for your legs, for your arms. So as you're here in this prone position, you're going to lift one leg, point your toes, bend your knee, adduct, as you twist towards one side. So think about opposite leg reaching towards opposite hand. Pausing for a second. If you wish more stretch, especially in your shoulders and your pecs, you can lift the opposite arm. Pausing for a second, going back, gently coming down, switching, engaging your glutes, going in extension, lifting up, coming down. And keep switching between these sides. separate your legs here together. So common mistake, just doing this. Try to abduct and then open your hip. It doesn't matter if you can't reach your hands, that's not the intention here. Intention is to twist and open your hips as much as you can. Arms can be there just as a sort of benchmark. This is again option if you wish to lift. Nice. Let's do one more time each side. Maybe pausing for 3 seconds in the end range. 1, 2, 3. Other side. 1, 2, 3. And safely, smoothly come out of the position. Beautiful. So hopefully this felt nice. Just a little bit of twist and opening of the hip. And for the very last bit, it's probably one of the most subtle motions that I teach, but probably one of my favorites. So you want to lie down. You're going to lie down in this position, arms gently on the floor. So your heels are grounded on the floor, your toes are facing up. So my body is completely relaxed. So this motion can also sort of show any potential disconnect between your upper body and your lower body. So as my heels are gently digging into the floor, as I'm starting to go forwards or backwards or up and down with my feet, notice how this affects the rest of my body. You can then close my eyes if you wish. And then increasing either the pace of the shake or slowing down. Almost like giving myself gentle massage. So if you do this, let's say properly, you should be noticing the motion in your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, your hips, maybe lower back, upper back, and especially back of your head, your arms. It's like a gentle rocking motion. Playing with tempo if you wish, faster, slower. Noticing your breath. Almost like a quicksand. And then gradually, you can either still stay here for a minute or two, or you can just gently start fading out. Until you come to a stop. Allow your eyes to gently open. And then what you're gonna do, you're just gonna lift your knees close to your chest. You can grab them with your hands. Just give your shins a hug, gentle hug. And then you can just add maybe just gentle rocking left and right. Nothing too crazy, keeping your head on the floor. It's like rocking a baby. Beautiful. And then place your feet down. Go on one of your sides and allow yourself to go all the way up in a seated position. You can go in cross-leg position, you can go back in Seiza, anything works. So arms relaxed. And for a change, let's try to keep our eyes open as we're sort of coming back into the room to that stillness position like at the very beginning of the session. Being aware of the room. The room is exactly the same, probably. But how do you feel? So scan your body again. Notice any differences compared to the beginning of the session. without any judgment. Simply notice, observe. Maybe give yourself a smile, even if it looks weird, even if you have other people in the room. They might smile back. And that will be it. So thank you so much again for joining, for your support, for really good feedback for the first session. This is going to be going on for a while, every week. I might also introduce some shorter sessions and movement snacks. If you wish to support, all this content is free. If you wish to support what I do with maybe small donation, I'm going to put link in the YouTube description. It's usually a page called Buy Me a Coffee, as I do like coffee. It's just a small sign of appreciation, if you wish, no pressure, as a small donation, no matter how small. It will be very much appreciated. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day or the evening, and see you soon. Take care.